In a quiet neighborhood, an elderly black man named Mr. Johnson enjoys his daily routine, taking a stroll through the park where he has lived for decades. Before we continue, make sure you subscribe and follow. The sun shines brightly, casting a warm glow on the vibrant flowers and trees that line the path. However, the tranquility is shattered when a group of young men, fueled by ignorance and hatred, spot him and decide to unleash their racist vitriol. As they approach, taunting him with slurs and threats, Mr. Johnson stands tall, refusing to show fear. Unbeknownst to the gang, his son, General Marcus Johnson, a decorated military officer known for his bravery and leadership, is just moments away, wrapping up an important meeting nearby. The stage is set for a confrontation that will not only test the limits of courage, but also challenge the very fabric of community and justice. If you are enjoying this story, make sure you subscribe and follow. As the gang closes in on Mr. Johnson, their laughter echoes ominously through the park, a stark contrast to the peaceful atmosphere that once enveloped him. They hurl insults, their words dripping with venom, each taunt designed to provoke and intimidate. Mr. Johnson, with his years of wisdom and resilience, stands firm, refusing to back down. He knows that he is not just a target. He represents a legacy of strength and dignity that cannot be easily tarnished. Just as the tension escalates, a sudden commotion breaks out nearby. General Marcus Johnson, having concluded his meeting, steps out of the building and heads toward the park, his mind still occupied with thoughts of duty and service. As he walks, he catches sight of a gathering crowd and hears raised voices. A sense of unease washes over him. Something is clearly wrong. He quickens his pace, and as he approaches the scene, the sight that greets him sends a surge of anger through his veins. His father is surrounded by a group of men who are clearly intent on causing harm. The general's heart races as he assesses the situation. He sees the fear in his father's eyes, but also recognizes the defiance in his stance. Mr. Johnson is standing tall, refusing to let hatred break his spirit. "Hey, what's going on here?" General Johnson's voice booms as he steps forward, his military presence commanding immediate attention. The gang members turn to face him, their bravado faltering for a moment as they size up the imposing figure before them. "Mind your business, old man," one of the attackers sneers, trying to regain their confidence. But General Johnson's gaze is unwavering. He can feel the tension crackling in the air like static electricity. "Your business is my business when it involves my father," he replies firmly, stepping closer to protect Mr. Johnson. The gang members exchange nervous glances. They hadn't anticipated this confrontation. "What are you gonna do about it?" Another member taunts, attempting to mask their fear with bravado. But General Johnson remains unflinching. "Stand down," he commands, his voice steady and authoritative. "You think you can intimidate an elderly man in front of me? You have no idea who you're dealing with." The gang hesitates, their bravado slowly crumbling under the weight of General Johnson's presence. He takes a step forward, asserting himself further while keeping an eye on his father, who stands resolute beside him. "Leave now," General Johnson continues, his tone leaving no room for negotiation. "If you don't want this to escalate into something you'll regret." The attackers look at each other uncertainly, realizing they are outmatched, not just by General Johnson's physical stature, but by the aura of authority that surrounds him. They begin to back away slowly, mumbling insults under their breath, but clearly unnerved. As they retreat from the scene, Mr. Johnson turns to his son with pride shining in his eyes, despite the fear that had gripped him moments before. "Thank you, son," he says softly, relief flooding over him. General Johnson places a reassuring hand on his father's shoulder. "I'll always have your back," he replies earnestly. "No one should ever have to face hate alone." The crowd that had gathered begins to disperse, murmurs of support echoing in the air as people express their admiration for General Johnson's bravery. However, beneath this moment of relief lies an undercurrent of tension. This incident is not just an isolated event, but part of a larger issue that plagues their community. As they walk home together, Mr. Johnson reflects on how far society has come, but also how much further it has to go. He shares stories from his youth about facing racism and discrimination head-on, tales filled with both pain and resilience that shaped him into the man he is today. General Johnson listens intently, understanding that while he has fought battles overseas for freedom and justice, there are still battles to be fought at home, and that require not just courage, but unity within their community. That night at home, they sit together at the dinner table discussing ways to address racial violence and promote understanding within their neighborhood. They brainstorm ideas for community meetings and outreach programs aimed at fostering dialogue between different groups. As they plan for action against hate and division, both men realize that this incident was not just about them. It was a call to arms for everyone who believes in equality and justice. A reminder that standing up against racism requires collective effort and unwavering resolve. With renewed determination in their hearts and minds set on change, they prepare for what lies ahead, knowing that together they can make a difference in their community and beyond. Go on with Act 3. Make it short. News of the attack spreads like wildfire, igniting a firestorm of outrage and solidarity. The local community rallies around the Johnsons, organizing marches and vigils to denounce racism and demand justice. General Johnson, leveraging his platform, becomes a vocal advocate for change, speaking passionately at rallies and town hall meetings. Meanwhile, law enforcement intensifies its investigation, facing mounting pressure to bring the attackers to justice. The district attorney, compelled by public sentiment and the severity of the crime, pursues hate crime charges. The trial becomes a flashpoint, a battleground for the soul of the community, forcing everyone to confront their own prejudices and biases. The world watches as the Johnsons stand tall, symbols of resilience and hope, determined to turn a moment of hate into a catalyst for lasting change. News of the attack spreads like wildfire, igniting a firestorm of outrage and solidarity. The local community rallies around the Johnsons, organizing marches and vigils to denounce racism and demand justice. General Johnson, leveraging his platform, becomes a vocal advocate for change, speaking passionately at rallies and town hall meetings. Meanwhile, law enforcement intensifies its investigation, facing mounting pressure to bring the attackers to justice. The district attorney, compelled by public sentiment and the severity of the crime, pursues hate crime charges. The trial becomes a flashpoint, a battleground for the soul of the community, forcing everyone to confront their own prejudices and biases. The world watches as the Johnsons stand tall, symbols of resilience and hope, determined to turn a moment of hate into a catalyst for lasting change. As the trial unfolds, the courtroom becomes a microcosm of the broader societal issues at play. The Johnsons sit side by side, their resolve unwavering as they listen to testimonies from witnesses who recount the harrowing events of that day. The prosecution presents a compelling case, emphasizing the need for accountability in the face of hate. In a powerful moment, General Johnson takes the stand, sharing his experience as both a son and a soldier. He speaks about the values of honor and respect that he learned from his father and how those principles guide him in his fight against racism. His words resonate deeply, stirring emotions among jurors and spectators alike. As the verdict approaches, tension fills the air. Community members gather outside the courthouse, holding signs that read "Justice for Mr. Johnson" and "No place for hate." The atmosphere is electric with anticipation, hope, and determination. Finally, the jury returns with their decision, guilty on all counts. Cheers erupt from the crowd outside as the Johnsons embrace, tears of relief streaming down their faces. This moment signifies not just justice for Mr. Johnson, but a collective stand against racism that reverberates throughout the community. In the aftermath of the trial, General Johnson and Mr. Johnson become influential figures in their community, leading initiatives aimed at promoting understanding and healing among diverse groups. They establish mentorship programs for youth, fostering dialogue and collaboration to build a more inclusive society. As they continue their work, they invite others to join them in this vital mission. Together, we can create a world where love triumphs over hate, General Johnson urges at community gatherings. If you're inspired by their story and want to be part of this movement for change, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more uplifting stories and follow us on social media. Join us as we continue to shine a light on resilience, unity, and the fight against injustice. Together, we can make a difference.